All right, everyone, going to be breaking down the 3-game slate that we have on DraftKings today for NBA DFS. Let's go ahead and get into it. So today is going to be a pretty interesting day where it is only a 3-game slate, but it's kind of a loaded 3-game slate. So we got the Pelicans versus Utah Jazz game that I think is very much appealing because it's a high-scoring game, close game, and both teams are pretty good matchups for each other, and a lot of players are actually going to be out in this game, which is going to create a lot of value. The issue that we have on the slate is there's not really a great pay up. I mean, we got Luka there, we got LeBron that you could certainly pay up for, but to me that's kind of the difficult part as well, especially because I like some of the guard plays that we were getting. So you can pay up for Luka, you can play it for LeBron. That's kind of the biggest difference for this slate in regards to strategy. But let's go ahead and start out here with the point guards. So we just go ahead and take a peek at kind of what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us are going to be the top values here, guys. Especially starting out here with the point guard position. So we got Fears and Poole, 2 Pelicans guards, which is going to be a decent spot, I think, for us because, well, we have Murphy out for them, and then we also have DeJounte Murray out as well. So 2 guards are going to be out for the Pelicans, which means that those 2 players, Poole and Fears, are going to be pretty appealing as guard players. I do like the idea of getting to them. At the same time, we do have Pods and then Melton, who are also going to be in for good spots because the Warriors are still going to be thin tonight. So I do like the idea of getting to those. But really, guys, these 5 guards right here are going to be the top 5 guard plays I'm going out of my way to target. And then if we get news that Keontae George is out, I think we can also get to Isaiah Collier. So there are 6 viable options potentially, but as it currently sits right now, again, I think Luka is the pay up if you can get to him, but I like the idea of getting to Pods, who Pods has been something that's been going off recently. So we see, his last 2 games went off 32 minutes, 37 minutes, only 27 minutes. Your guy still went for 33 points. So assume this game stays close, like how Vegas is projecting it. He's the player I want to get to, but in a weird way, I like the idea of playing him and Melton together, just betting on those games to stay close, thus meaning that these 2 players both have to get a little bit more run. And if Pods is going to get, 30 plus minutes, Melton is going to be I would assume a good reason as to why that game is staying close. So I like the idea of pairing those 2 together. At the same time, if we're playing both of those 2 together, we probably do need to begin to Luka in some capacity as well. Because they're playing each other, that's basically the bet. At the same time, I do really like the idea of getting to the Pelicans in Utah game because I think it's pretty loaded in regards to who we can be targeting. So now real quickly, let's just go ahead and take a peek at the shooting guards, the best shooting guard values that we are getting. And we are going to see, again, guys, some guards in that game. Now we have Bryce McGowens and Bryce Sensabaugh as small forward shooting guard options, which I do really like the idea of getting to. I kind of see them both as shoulder shrug plays. Like if I'm ending up on them, I definitely like the idea of doing that. And really, because of the fact that we're playing Luka here, I am going to begin to Bryce McGowens instead. And again, the reason why we want to be doing this, good matchup, high scoring game. And then also there's some players out for the Pelicans. So he should be able to get a decent amount of minutes. And if he does, we should be able to get at least 5x out of him. And on a 3-game slate, that should be enough for us. Now let's go and take a peek at some of the other small forwards that we're getting to. I do really like the idea of getting to Sadiq Bey, who ends up being just too cheap here tonight, guys. He does average about 34 fantasy points per 36 with Murray and Murphy off the court. But he's someone that should be in for a better game, assuming that it's a good matchup. Now he's not egregiously mispriced. Like there's a spot where he doesn't get there, and if you're not getting to him, you're getting to Ace Bailey or Bryce Sensabaugh. Again, the data likes Sensabaugh a little bit more, so you're probably going to favor him a little bit more. That being said, we'll go ahead and jump on into the power forwards here. Power forwards is another interesting spot because I do like the idea of playing Zion. Although Zion feels safer in regards to his floor, I kind of like the idea again to Bey instead, just chasing that ceiling. He's coming in off of a very good game, and I think there's a good chance that he has another good game for us. So I like the idea of getting to him instead of Zion, although I think they're both great options. If you're not playing Luka, you probably are going to get to Zion instead, and you're going to play both of them most likely. Now, Filipkowski is someone that I didn't really catch why he only played 18 minutes in the last game there for Utah. If that ends up happening again, obviously we do not like that, but he's someone that in 18 minutes, guys, still managed 22.5 fantasy points. So let's just say he gets, at least 10 more minutes there. He's going to have a productive game and maybe has the potential to get a double-double. So in another good matchup, I don't mind the idea of playing him. He's kind of a shoulder shrug play for me, which on a 3-game slate, we're going to have a lot of those. Santos is someone that has been going off there for the Warriors as well. I think he's arguably pretty mispriced as well, especially given the fact that we have Draymond Green and also Porzingis listed as questionable. If one or both of those two sit, that means he's going to end up being a much better click for us. So just be on the lookout for those two to sit. And that being said, we do have Colin Murray Bowles listed as questionable, which if he sits, that does mean Joachim Poeltl and Sandro are both a little bit more in play at the center spot for Toronto. So be on the lookout for that as well. And then worth calling out here, John Concher, not a perfect play per se, but he's someone, if you're going down the slow, he should get a lot of run with Utah again and Memphis, both of them, or sorry, Utah and the Pelicans, both being a little bit thin tonight. He's someone that should be in for a decent amount of minutes here in general. He's kind of, again, a shoulder short play where if you're closing out your build, you end up on him, you're okay with that. So we'll jump on into the centers here, guys. Again, I do like that idea of getting to Santos. I like chasing that ceiling, but we'll go ahead and talk about some center plays. So if we are playing Luka, that does mean it's pretty thin in regards to who we can get to. We're probably going to be looking at maybe Anthony Gill, who for Washington, the minutes are a little bit sporadic, but he has been someone that has been consistently getting, at least 25 or so minutes. And with that, I'm kind of fine chasing that, especially if Vukovic ends up sitting here for Washington. But it is dependent on that. Thankfully, that's the early game, so we will know what to do there. And then, again, if Sandro ends up sitting, I do like the idea of chasing the potential ceiling that we're going to get with Joachim Poeltl. We know that he's someone that when he gets the minutes, he can really crush. And we could easily get 40 fantasy points out of him if Sandro sits. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. Now, the worry that we have in this game against Washington is that's a 14.5-point spread. Now, I would imagine Joachim Poeltl would be part of the reason as to why that game would end up being a blowout. I think Sandro's a little bit too priced up for me to really want to get to. So, I would rather get to Joachim Poeltl. Now, we also have Quinn Post to, find value if you need to get there. 3-game slate, fine with it. Jackson Hayes has been someone that, maybe gets 20-plus minutes, maybe not a terrible option for you guys. DeAndre Jordan's been someone that's been playing a little bit more minutes recently, and if we knew for sure he was going to get 20-plus minutes, to me, he would end up being an interesting click. And kind of same thing here with Kevin Love. Like, if Kevin Love for sure were to get 20 minutes, we'd be signing up for that. We would love that. And so I really don't mind the idea of chasing that. So I think, if you're trying to fit Luke into your builds, you are going to have to go with a value center. I really don't mind the idea of getting into a little bit of Love, getting into a little bit of Jordan, getting into a little bit of Makovich as well. I think these are all viable options. These are all plays that should be able to get to around 5x. And you're just trying to shoot for the upside, which is why I'm playing Joachim Poeltl. And so we close this out. We have 4K left over. Who can we get to there in the 4K range? Well, to me, it would end up being Jordan Poole. Okay, so I'm perfectly fine with Jordan Poole there to close it out. Now, that's my thoughts there. I did have another lineup that I produced that had Zion in there. But let's go and see what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us are the top builds. And so what you are going to notice is we are going to have a lower total projected points for the lineups. That makes sense. But we have Fears in there. Kind of interesting. Jordan Poole, so it is kind of going more with the Pelicans. I will say Herbert Jones, perfectly fine value, small forward play. Again, guys, it's a weird 3-game slate where it's actually loaded with a lot of good plays that we can get to. So Derek Queen's in there. I don't like Derek Queen. Missy, I am expecting to sit, but he's questionable, doubtful. This is trying to force in Luka. Interesting there. But I do like the fact that it's kind of mixing and matching some of the center plays that we could be on today. So kind of interesting there. I like my build better, to be honest with you here. But we'll see. Double center is interesting for this slate. I don't think that'll be too popular, although it's not a terrible way to get some value. So Joachim Poeltl and maybe Love or Makovich or, any of those other plays. That's definitely an interesting option there. I like into more Abe and Zion as some pay-ups, including Luka, but I already mentioned that decent amount. So it's probably the most fun 3-game slate that I think we have had this whole year, guys. So that's going to do it for this video. I will be on the Occupy Fantasy live stream at about 4:45 Central Standard Time, guys. So be on the lookout for that. That's the YouTube channel, so be on the lookout for that. Catch you guys there. And also, if you guys want to, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you guys have not done so before. Appreciate you being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.